"Order! Order in the Grand Chamber!" Chuktuch Hihan Tikau Valera's voice boomed through the crystalline dome of the Galactic Council headquarters. Her phosphorescent scales flickered with annoyance as she surveyed the assembled representatives of the 100 most powerful species in the known universe. Jika GCC Cryan has the floor. The towering figure of Jika GCC Cryan moved to the central podium, his metallic exoskeleton gleaming. Under the light of 3 artificial suns, the chamber fell silent, all 600 eyes fixed on him. Well, mostly silent, except for GUSS Drax, who was, as usual, quietly digesting his morning meal in the corner. The wet squelching sounds were becoming rather distracting. Esteemed members of the council, Rexon began, his mandibles clicking with barely contained excitement. Our deep space reconnaissance has identified a previously unknown species. In the outer rim of Galaxy Sector 7, they call themselves humans. Humans. He paused for dramatic effect, but the only response was another wet squelch from Pax's corner. A holographic image materialized above the council chamber, a rotating view of Earth and its inhabitants. Several council members leaned forward, their appendages twitching with mild interest. "As you can see," Rexon continued, "they've achieved basic space flight, rudimentary atomic manipulation, and have managed not to completely destroy their atmosphere yet. Their social structure is particularly fascinating." He pressed a button, showing images of human workplaces. They spend roughly 1/3 of their lives in designated containment facilities, performing repetitive tasks for resource tokens they call money. GUSS Vorax, a floating cloud of sentient gas, formed itself into a question mark. They willingly imprison themselves without any form of mind control? Precisely, Rexon's mandibles clicked faster with enthusiasm. They even have a complex system of hierarchical oppression they call corporate structure. Some humans have the power to determine when others can consume nutrients or even evacuate their waste systems. Laughter rippled through the chamber. Even Chuktuch Hihan Tikau Valera's scales shifted to an amused pink. "These managers," Rexon continued, "hold power over their subordinates through something called employee reviews and performance metrics. The humans have essentially created their own slavery system and convinced themselves it's normal." "How delightfully primitive," drawled GUSS Zilra, her tentacles curling in amusement. "I suppose next you'll tell us they still use physical currency." Actually, Rexon began, but was interrupted by another loud squelch from Pax's corner, followed by an apologetic burp. Chuktuch Hihan Tikau Valera raised a scaled appendage. "The question before us, Admiral, is whether these humans meet the criteria for integration into the Empire. Given their apparent predisposition to hierarchical structures and voluntary servitude, what is your recommendation?" Rexon's exoskeleton vibrated with confidence. "They're perfect candidates, Supreme Counselor. They already understand chain of command, accept arbitrary authority, and are accustomed to exchanging their labor for basic survival needs. Integration should be seamless. We simply need to present ourselves as new management. Any objections?" Adzara scanned the chamber. The assembled representatives were either nodding in agreement or had dozed off entirely. "Very well. Motion to incorporate Earth into the Galactic Empire under standard integration. Protocol 7B. All in favor." A chorus of affirmative votes echoed through the chamber, punctuated by one final, particularly juicy squelch from Pax. "Excellent," Rexon said, his mandibles forming what passed for a smile in his species. "I'll prepare the integration fleet immediately. These humans will make fine additions to our workforce. After all, how much trouble could a species be when they've already done half our job for us?" The council chamber erupted in laughter again. Only old Representative Xylix, who had seen countless species come and go in his 3 centuries of service, remained silent. There was something about these humans that made his third liver quiver uneasily. But he kept his concerns to himself. After all, what could possibly go wrong? As the council members filed out, already forgetting about the insignificant species they'd just condemned to servitude, none of them noticed the small mathematical error in Rexon's report. a tiny decimal point misplaced in the human's advancement calculation. Such a small thing, really, a very small thing indeed. Chowitrin-Sat Lyra's observation pod hovered silently above a sprawling human settlement they called New York City. She dictated her findings into the ship's neural network, her bioluminescent antennae pulsing with each word. Field report, day 45 of human observation. These creatures continue to fascinate and perplex me. Their behavior follows patterns so predictable, it's almost comical. Every morning, millions of them pour into towering structures made of glass and steel, like worker drones responding to some invisible queen's call, except there is no queen. They do this voluntarily. She zoomed in on a particular building, watching humans shuffle through security checkpoints. Their dedication to hierarchy is remarkable. They've even created elaborate rituals around it. For example, they have these sacred gathering spaces called break rooms where lower-ranked humans consume stimulant beverages before returning to their designated cubicles. The higher-ranked ones have their own special chambers called corner offices, clearly some sort of status symbol. A notification pinged on her console. Her second-in-command, Kwanzat Vian Crix, was requesting attention. Commander, his holographic form materialized, antennae twitching excitedly. You need to see this. I've been monitoring their communication networks. Show me. A stream of human social media posts filled her visual field. They complain about their leaders constantly, Crix noted, yet continue to obey them. Look at these memes about someone called middle management. They mock their superiors openly, then show up the next day for more. It's brilliant. Valara's antennae curled in appreciation. Their conditioning must be incredibly sophisticated. Add this to the integration report. We won't need to waste resources on behavior modification. Her attention shifted to a new scene below, a gathering of humans in what they called a board meeting. Through the building's windows, she observed their peculiar dominance displays, humans in darker colored suits speaking, while others nodded and made marks on small devices. Note this, she commanded. Their authority seems tied to a tired darkness. The ones in the darkest suits clearly hold the most power. We should incorporate this into our integration protocols. A different alert flashed across her console. Commander, another observer's voice crackled through. We've detected something unusual in their entertainment broadcasts. Explain. They create fictional scenarios about alien invasions where they win. They seem to fantasize about defeating technologically superior species. Valara's laughter echoed through the observation pod. How charmingly primitive. They cope with their limitations through imagination. Added to the cultural notes, filed under harmless entertainment, she turned her attention back to the city below, where humans were now engaging in another fascinating ritual, something called a coffee run. Final observations for today. Their society functions on a bizarre mix of arbitrary rules and universal complaints about said rules. They've developed intricate social hierarchies based on factors like job titles, parking spaces, and something called lunch break duration. These structures are perfect for our purposes. Valara began composing her final report to Jika GCC Cryan. Recommendation: proceed with Integration Plan Alpha. These humans are perfectly primed for absorption into the Empire's workforce. Their existing social structures mirror our own so closely. They might not even notice the change in management. Their resistance to authority extends only to amusing social media posts and what they call water cooler talk. She added a personal note. In my 3 centuries of species assessment, I've never encountered a civilization so perfectly suited for integration. They've done our work for us, creating a compliant, hierarchy-obsessed society that values order and structure above all. This might be the easiest integration in Imperial history. As she finished her report, Valara noticed a small group of humans below huddled around a desk, speaking in hushed tones while glancing warily at security cameras. She dismissed it as another quaint human behavior, probably planning something they called a birthday celebration or office party. End report, she commanded, her antennae glowing with satisfaction. Mark humans as Category 1 for integration. Minimal resistance expected. Recommend immediate preparation for full corporate takeover. The observation pod's cloaking field shimmed as it rose higher into the atmosphere. Below, life in New York continued as usual, or seemed to, in that huddle of humans Valara had dismissed. A janitor was showing his colleagues something interesting on his phone. Amateur telescope photos of unusual distortions in the sky. The same janitor who had 3 PhDs in astrophysics, but preferred the quiet solitude of maintenance work to think about his research. But Valara didn't notice that, just like she didn't notice how the humans' constant complaints about authority actually helped them cope with and resist it, or how their endless jokes about rebellion masked a deep current of revolutionary potential. After all, what could a species that spent its time making memes about corporate life possibly know about real resistance? She was about to find out. GM Sat Kuviak Torin stared at the stack of reports on his quantum desk, his third eye twitching uncontrollably. 6 months into what should have been the smoothest planetary integration in Imperial history, and somehow these humans were giving him a migraine in organs he didn't even know could ache. "Would you please explain to me," he addressed the nervous-looking assistant overseer before him, "how our mining efficiency on Luna Base has increased by 300% while our actual mineral yields have decreased?" "Well, sir," Turgel's GM Sat Renda's scales rippled anxiously. "The humans have been extraordinarily cooperative. They're signing all the employment contracts, attending every mandatory motivation session, and exceeding all productivity quotas. It's just things keep breaking in very specific ways." Breaking. Malak's third eye narrowed. Yesterday, a human called Bob from Sector 7 managed to increase his ore processing speed to record levels. Unfortunately, he also somehow configured the sorting system to separate all the valuable minerals into the waste containers, which were then accidentally incinerated. He's been promoted to supervisor for his outstanding productivity metrics. Malak slumped in his hover chair. "And I suppose this Bob submitted all the correct paperwork for both the promotion and the incineration?" "In triplicate, sir, with color-coded tabs." A notification pinged on Malak's neural interface. "Now what?" "Sir, the humans in Processing Plant 47 are demanding another safety training session. They insist on reviewing emergency protocols for the 15th time this month. They're quite concerned about workplace compliance." Malak's exoskeleton creaked as he leaned forward. "Remember when we thought their obsession with workplace regulations would make them perfect employees? To be fair, sir, they are following every regulation, particularly the ones about maximum shift durations, required break periods, and the need for extensive documentation of every single action." Another ping. Malak's secondary hearts nearly stopped when he read the message. "They've unionized the asteroid belt mining operations." "Oh, yes, sir. The United Space Workers Local 1127. They're demanding collective bargaining rights, pension plans, and something called Casual Fridays. They filed all the proper Imperial bureaucratic forms, all 10,000 of them." Malak pulled up the production reports from Earth's surface. Operations. The numbers looked perfect to perfect. Every quota met exactly, not a percentage point over or under. It was almost as if. "Sir," Pendra interrupted his thoughts, "there's also the matter of the Human Resources Department." "What about it?" "Well, we assigned humans to handle their own employment processing, thinking it would streamline integration. They've created something called mandatory sensitivity training for all Imperial supervisors. The first session is 17 hours long and includes a section on proper pronoun usage for all 700 recognized Imperial genders." Malak's color-shifting scales turned a pale shade of green. 17 hours, with a written exam at the end. Failure to achieve a perfect score requires immediate retaking of the course. The humans insist it's for optimal workplace harmony. A small explosion rocked the administrative complex. Malak didn't even flinch. "Let me guess, another accidental plasma conduit rupture." "Yes, sir. The human maintenance crew says they'll need to shut down the entire sector for repairs." They've already started filling out the required safety inspection forms, all 47 of them. Malix stared out his window at the sprawling mining complex below. Everything looked perfectly orderly. Humans in their Imperial-issued worker uniforms moved about their tasks with impressive efficiency. Too impressive, Serpendra's voice dropped to a whisper. There's something else. Remember how we thought their coffee breaks were just pointless social gatherings? Yes, we've discovered they're actually using them to share information. They call it networking, and they've started inviting Imperial supervisors to something called team-building exercises. That doesn't sound so bad. The last one was a trust fall workshop. 3 supervisors are still in medical regeneration tanks. Malix's communication terminal chimed. A human female appeared on screen, smiling with what he had learned was excessive enthusiasm. Good morning, sir. This is Sandra from Compliance. I'm just calling to remind you that your annual performance review documentation is due by end of shift today, all 600 pages. Also, there's been a slight update to the filing procedure. The new process manual is only 2,000 pages, and I've taken the liberty of scheduling a brief 4-hour training session to review the changes. Before Malix could respond, another alarm blared. Serpendra checked the alert. The humans in Sector 12 are demanding another workplace wellness seminar. They say the feng shui of the quantum drive assembly line is disrupting their work-life balance. Malix's third eye began twitching again. Have we received any actual resistance, armed uprising, sabotage? Anything we're trained to handle? No, sir. They're being perfectly compliant. Enthusiastically compliant, even. It's just ... just what? Well, sir, have you noticed how they smile all the time? Even when they're apologizing for another accidental system failure? It's unsettling. Malix stared at the latest report on his desk. The humans had submitted a petition for an Imperial-wide audit of carbon, emission credits, and sustainable energy practices. The document was 12,000 pages long. In the distance, another small explosion rumbled through the complex, followed immediately by the sound of humans cheerfully offering to start the repair paperwork. Malix's scales shifted to a disturbing shade of gray. For the first time in his career, he wondered if perhaps they had miscalculated something fundamental about this species. But that was ridiculous. After all, they were following every rule perfectly. Perfectly. Emergency Alert Priority 1 flashed across every screen in Imperial Command. Trong and Nin Zyrax's bioluminescent patches pulsed erratically as she processed the incoming data streams. Something was very, very wrong. Report, she barked at her analysis team. Why are production numbers up 700% across all sectors? Senior Analyst Nexer's appendages trembled as he brought up the latest figures. It appears the humans have optimized our systems, Chief. They call it cutting-edge efficiency improvements. That's impossible. Our systems were already operating at maximum capacity. Yes, well, Nexer's voice quavered. They've made some modifications. Started with small suggestions in their mandatory employee feedback forms. Simple things at first, then they formed efficiency committees, focus groups, something called Six Sigma. Trazix pulled up the manufacturing surveillance feeds. The production lines were moving at blur speed, every human worker operating with precise, practice movements. No wasted motion, no breaks in the rhythm. When did they get this good? They say they're just motivated by the new employee incentive program they designed, the one with the points system and achievement badges. A warning klaxon blared. Another feed popped up, showing the Quantum processing facility on Mars. The humans there had somehow quadrupled the processing speed while using half the energy. They'd submitted a 500-page report explaining exactly how they did it, filled with incomprehensible terms like synergy and paradigm shift. Chief, another analyst called out, "You need to see this." The main screen filled with images from a routine scan of human living quarters, hidden behind perfectly filed maintenance reports and regulation-compliant decoration schemes. They found something disturbing, evidence of secret meetings, but not the kind they were trained to look for. What in the name of the Emperor is a book club? Apparently, they gather to discuss written works, very bureaucratic. They take notes, have designated discussion leaders, follow strict parliamentary procedure. Trazex's third heart skipped a beat. Show me their reading list. The titles scrolled past The Art of War Rules for Radicals, Ender's Game, Project Management for Dummies. It gets worse, Nexer whispered. We've discovered underground networks. They call them LinkedIn and Discord. Before Trazex could respond, her personal communique chimed. A human face appeared, wearing the unsettling expression they called a customer service smile. Good morning, Chief, KSBC and TT Kyle. From it here, just wanted to let you know we've upgraded your neural network interfaces. You'll find everything runs about 200% faster now. We've also implemented a new ticketing system for reporting issues. The user manual is only 3,000 pages. The screen went dark. Trazex sat in stunned silence until another alarm demanded attention. The mining robots, an analyst reported. The humans have improved them. Improved, those were top of the line. Imperial tech. They said something about routine maintenance and quality of life updates. Now they're operating at 500% efficiency, and the analyst swallowed hard. They've started playing something called lo-fi beats to mine to. Trazex accessed the security footage from the lunar mines. Her bioluminescence dimmed in shock. The robots moved with impossible grace. Their movement synchronized to a gentle electronic beat. Nearby, human workers nodded along, filling out performance reports while casually manipulating quantum control interfaces they shouldn't have been able to comprehend. How are they doing this? We limited their access to advanced technology. Hey, about that. Nexer brought up another report. Remember how we thought their coffee breaks were just social gatherings? Turns out they've been brainstorming. Something about reverse engineering over lattes. A message flashed across Trazex's neural link. Mandatory team building exercise scheduled for 1,400 hours. Topic: revolutionary approaches to workplace optimization. Attendance is compulsory. Snacks will be provided. In that moment, Trazex realized their terrible mistake. They had assumed humans would resist like every other species, with violence, with rebellion, with chaos. Instead, they had done something far more insidious. They had learned, adapted, optimized, and they had done it all while filling out the proper paperwork. Chief, Nexer's voice cracked, there's one more thing. The humans in Sector 7, they've started a Toastmasters club. Trazex's bioluminescent patches went completely dark. In all her years of security work, she had never encountered anything like this. The humans weren't just adapting to Imperial technology, they were improving it. And they were doing it with spreadsheets, project management software, and employee suggestion boxes. In the distance, she heard the cheerful voice of another human IT specialist. Has anyone tried turning the quantum core off and on again? I think I know how we can boost its efficiency by about 1,000%. For the first time in her career, Trong and Nin Zyrax felt real fear. Not of weapons or warfare, but of efficiency experts and optimization consultants. The revolution wouldn't be fought with guns. It would be fought with quarterly performance reviews and process improvement initiatives. And the humans were winning. Grand Admiral Rexon's mandibles clattered in distress as emergency alerts flooded the command center. Red warning holograms filled the air, each worse than the last. Report. What in the Emperor's name is happening? Tilan HMG Varek's exoskeleton had turned an alarming shade of pale. Sir, the humans, they've called an emergency all-hands meeting across every sector simultaneously. An all-hands meeting? Yes, sir, with PowerPoint presentations. The command center erupted in chaos as more reports poured in. The humans had launched their offensive not with weapons, but with something far more terrifying: corporate restructuring. They've seized control of Sector 8 through a hostile takeover. Arax's voice trembled. They presented a 400-slide deck on proposed efficiency improvements, and by the time it was over, our commanders had signed over complete operational control. A massive explosion rocked the facility, except it wasn't an explosion at all. The humans had simply optimized the power grid, increasing output by 1,000% while simultaneously reducing costs by 80%. "Sir," another officer called out, "the mining colonies, they've unionized all of them. They're demanding collective bargaining rights and ... Profit sharing." Rexon watched in horror as human management consultants swarmed through Imperial facilities armed with tablets and talking about something called synergistic paradigm shifts behind them. Modified Imperial tech operated at impossible levels of efficiency. "How are they controlling our technology? We never gave them access to the command codes." A human woman in a crisp business suit appeared on the main screen, smiling pleasantly. "Oh, those old codes. We implemented a new agile development framework and upgraded everything. The documentation has been posted to the company intranet. All 12,000 pages of it." The screen went dark, replaced by a presentation titled "Leveraging Cross-Functional Synergies for Optimal Workplace Revolution, a Strategic Overview." "Sir," Erex reported, "humans have taken control of the lunar defense grid through mandatory safety compliance reviews. They cited 347 violations of workplace safety protocols and simply shut everything down for maintenance." Another alert flashed. The humans had organized something called a hackathon in the Quantum Computing Center. In 6 hours, they had rewritten the entire Imperial operating system, making it run much more efficiently while adding something called dark mode. "The orbital platforms," someone shouted, "they've scheduled them all for routine maintenance." Something about updating the user interface. Rexon watched helplessly as human engineers swarmed over Imperial technology, casually rewriting code and reconfiguring systems that had taken the Empire centuries to perfect. They didn't even look angry, as if they were enjoying it. "Sir, you need to see this." Erex brought up another feed. "The humans in the biochemical research division, they've started a startup incubator. They're disrupting our traditional business model." A human male appeared on screen wearing what they called a hoodie. "Hey guys, just wanted to give you a quick update on our latest innovation sprint. We've increased the efficiency of your antimatter drives by about 2,000%. Also, we've fixed that annoying bug in the artificial gravity systems. Oh, and we're now offering free snacks in all break rooms. Any questions?" Before anyone could respond, another human popped into view. "Quick reminder, don't forget to fill out your timesheets for the revolution, and please remember to submit your expense reports for any resistance-related activities. We need everything properly documented for the quarterly audit." Rexon's mandibles went slack as he watched his mighty empire being systematically dismantled by project managers and systems analysts. "Sir," Erex called out in panic, "they've scheduled an organizational restructuring workshop. Attendance is mandatory." The doors to the command center slid open. A team of humans entered carrying tablets and looking enthusiastically professional. "Good morning, everyone. I'm Non-Vian Non-SS Helena from Human Resources. We've noticed some opportunities for vertical integration and organizational optimization. Now, if you'll all open your packets to page 1, stand back," Rexon warned. "I am Grand Admiral of the Imperial Fleet." Actually, Non-Vian Non-SS Helena consulted her tablet. According to the new organizational chart, that position has been reassigned to the Solutions Implementation Task Force. But don't worry, we have an exciting new opportunity for you in middle management. The last thing Rexon saw before his world changed forever was a slide titled, "Transitioning from Imperial Domination to Employee-Owned Cooperative, a 6-step process." Across the galaxy, the revolution spread not with bombs and bullets, but with meetings and memos. Imperial commanders found themselves nodding along to presentations about workplace culture improvements, only to realize too late that they had just ceded control of entire star systems. The humans hadn't just adapted to Imperial technology, they had optimized it, streamlined it, and most terrifyingly of all, made it user-friendly. And they documented everything in triplicate. Chuktuch Hihan T. Cal Valera stood before the emergency session of the Galactic Council, her scales shifting through colors never before seen in their species' emotional spectrum. The chamber, once a symbol of imperial power, now felt more like a corporate boardroom. Humans had even installed motivational posters on the walls. "Order, I demand order," she called out, but was interrupted by a human raising his hand. "Point of order, actually." According to the new procedural guidelines outlined in subsection 7B of the revised Council Charter, all calls for order must be preceded by a proper meeting agenda. The human smiled politely. "Don't worry, I've taken the liberty of preparing one. I've also scheduled a workshop on parliamentary procedure for next week. There will be trust falls." Azara's scales turned a shade of defeat. Around the chamber, council members watched in horror as their neural interfaces synchronized with something called Microsoft Teams. Jika GCC Cryan burst into the chamber, his exoskeleton cracked and dented. "Supreme Counselor, the humans, they've done something impossible. What now?" Azara dreaded the answer. "They've made our technology efficient." He whispered the last word like a curse, and they've started issuing quarterly earnings reports. The chamber doors slid open. A group of humans entered, led by a woman whose badge identified her as GMGCC Quen LSTG Sophia, Director of Organizational Change Management. "Good morning, everyone." Her smile was weaponized cheerfulness. "Thanks for taking time out of your busy schedules for this emergency session. If we could all open the shared document I just sent." "You dare interrupt a meeting of the Supreme Council?" Azara tried to summon her former authority. "Oh, we're not interrupting," GMGCC Quen LSTG Sophia replied, still smiling. "We're facilitating a strategic transformation initiative. Now, who here has completed their mandatory diversity and inclusion training?" Guilty silence filled the chamber. Even USS Drax stopped digesting. "That's what I thought." GMGCC Quen LSTG Sophia clicked to her next slide. "Now, we've conducted a thorough audit of Imperial operations, and we've identified several areas for improvement. For instance, did you know you were operating at only 3% efficiency? We've prepared a 700-page report detailing our findings, but ... But we conquered half the known galaxy," Rexon protested. "Through very inefficient methods," GMGCC Quen LSTG Sophia noted. "Your conquest overhead was astronomical. Now, if you look at slide 147, we've prepared a cost-benefit analysis of traditional Imperial subjugation versus our new collaborative management approach." Another human stepped forward, pushing up his glasses. "We've also taken the liberty of updating your entire technological infrastructure. You'll find everything runs about 5,000% faster now. Oh, and we fixed the coffee makers in the break room. This is outrageous." Azara slammed her appendage on the podium. "We are your conquerors, your masters." Actually, GMGCC Quen LSTG Sophia consulted her tablet. According to the new organizational flowchart, those positions have been eliminated. But we're excited to offer you the opportunity to join our dynamic team in an entry-level position. The benefits package includes dental. Suddenly, every screen in the chamber lit up with streaming data. Humans had optimized and improved every piece of Imperial technology. Ships now ran on clean energy. Weapons had been converted into terraforming tools. Someone had even installed cup holders in the quantum drives. Now, GMGCC Quen LSTG Sophia continued, "About your employee satisfaction scores. Sure enough," Rexon roared, "we have mighty fleets, powerful weapons." He had corrected another human, consulting a spreadsheet. "We've reorganized the fleet into a public transportation service, much more cost-effective. And the weapons, repurposed for infrastructure development. The ROI is incredible." The council watched in mute horror as humans proceeded to give a 3-hour presentation on their complete restructuring of the Empire. They had diagrams, pie charts, something called a SWOT analysis. In conclusion, GMGCC Quen LSTG Sophia said, clicking to her final slide, "We believe this new organizational structure will better serve all stakeholders moving forward. We've already implemented these changes across 80% of Imperial space. Now, who's ready for some team-building exercises? Azara's scales had turned pure white. You planned this all along. Oh, no, GMGCC Quen LSTG Sophia laughed. This is just what we do. Give humans any system, and we'll optimize it. It's kind of our thing. Now, has everyone filled out their conflict resolution style assessment? As the humans began distributing personality test questionnaire, the mighty rulers of the Galactic Empire finally understood their terrible mistake. They had conquered a species that turned everything, even conquest itself, into a project to be managed, optimized, and improved. The Empire didn't fall to weapons or warfare. It fell to spreadsheets, efficiency reports, and mandatory training sessions. In the end, humanity's greatest weapon wasn't technology or strength. It was their ability to take any system, no matter how vast or complex, and bureaucratize it into submission. Now, GMGCC Quen LSTG Sophia's voice rang through the chamber. Let's talk about your carbon footprint. And so, with a PowerPoint presentation and a revised employee handbook, the greatest empire in the galaxy was peacefully transformed into a worker-owned cooperative with excellent benefits and generous paid time off. They even kept USS Drax's digestive noises, something about preserving workplace diversity. The end. Post-credits scene. 6 months later, a nervous alien intern approached GMGCC Quen LSTG Sophia with a report. Ma'am, we've discovered another galaxy ripe for optimization. GMGCC Quen LSTG Sophia smiled, opening her laptop. Excellent. Schedule a preliminary planning meeting. And don't forget the icebreakers. The intern nodded, already drafting the meeting agenda. Somewhere in the distance, someone started a PowerPoint presentation. The revolution continued, one slide deck at a time.